Hello, Cryptolings and YouTubers. Welcome to another episode of CryptoCurrent. I'm your host, CryptoRick. So today we're going to be interviewing one of the viewers on the channel. And there's a lot of other YouTube channels who just interview usually whales and usually influencers. But on this show, we also like to reach out to the people, see what the vibe is amongst the people that are in on the Pulse community, and see what strategies they're doing. And so we have Mr. MJB here with us today. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for asking. So I'm going to start off, obviously, just tell the people how you got into the community and take it from there.
I was involved in crypto over the past year or two, just like everybody else, just trying to trade, getting wrecked, basically just chasing my tail, just trying to buy something low and hoping it goes high. And that's really not a good strategy as we see now, but that's pretty much what it was at the beginning. Try to buy something at a good price and hope it goes up. That's it. But now, as we've come to learn, some things have real true functionality and use, and you could do a lot of things with some of these projects that are coming up and that are available. And so that's what I'm learning about and trying to take advantage of.
Sure. And apparently you were playing poker and someone told you about Hex? Or?
Yeah, I've been talking crypto with some of the fellows that I play poker with. And one of them actually made a comment. He said, "Hey, well, have you ever heard of Hex?" And I said, "No." And this was maybe a year, almost a year and a half ago, whatever it was. And I said, "No, what is it?" And he explained it briefly, but basically just gave me the normal onboard pitch, like, "Hey, go to hex.com, check it out." I did. And I thought it was a really great idea, especially someone who's, dealt with the bank system. I've dealt with certificates of deposit that are just total crap. You get no yield. And then when I looked into it, I was like, this is great, especially that I could choose the term and the amount. I don't have to go, I'm older, as you could see. I don't have to go 15 years. I could do a smaller stake and still achieve a great yield. So then once I looked into the Hex and everything that surrounded it, then you have to see PulseChain and hear about it one way or another if you're into Hex, I would think. And then I slowly started to learn about PulseChain, spoke more with this poker buddy about it, and he explained how great of a thing it's going to be and its uses, and it's, faster and cheaper and blah, blah, blah. And that's how I've kind of slowly got sucked into this. And now I'm really deeply interested and involved.
Sure. And tell us roughly whereabouts in the sacrifice phase did you sacrifice?
I missed out on PulseChain, and I had talked to this poker buddy maybe mid to early PulseX sacrifice. Is when he really started telling me about the PulseChain project, which might have been maybe the third or fourth time I had spoken with him. He had first mentioned Hex to me. But or maybe he might have even mentioned PulseChain, but I just didn't really think much about it at the beginning until he really started pressing on it. So to answer your question, I would say mid to early PulseX phase. And then when I started reading up on it, I started to realize it would be better to sacrifice after that 1.75 multiplier, because I would do better than just getting only, a lower percentage for it, or a bonus, I would say, for it.
Okay. And were you nervous sacrificing to an address that you've never, looked at before?
I was, because I had never seen that wording, don't expect profit from others. You're sacrificing for, for freedom of speech, or, whatever the whole entire, verbiage was. And that's pretty scary, to just send your money into oblivion and hope that you're getting something for it. But again, speaking to my buddy, hearing, oh, well, he first did Hex and this thing's been going, for two years. This is back then, for over 2 years now, or whatever it was. And, if he would have rug pulled, he would have done it a long time ago. Why would he wait over 2 years, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And so I had to really kind of gain his trust, and then, read up, look in some of the Reddit chat rooms and things like that, and look at some videos and whatnot. And you start to realize, hey, this could really be a good thing. And you have to go with trust. But at the bottom line is, don't ever put up anything you can't afford to lose, because at the end of the day, it'd be just like you buying an IPO of something else brand new that hasn't come out yet.
That's true. That's true. So I guess let's just get straight into it. What's going to be your strategy for PulseChain and PulseX when it launches?
Well, for me, being someone that, just like a lot of you out there, that don't have Pulse, but probably have PulseX, I've been buying up a lot of Hex. I've been trying to get cheap Hex. I've been getting it from anywhere from 13 cents down to 10 cents and just accumulating that. And I plan on swapping my Hex for Pulse. But I'm hearing that that's what a lot of people are going to be doing. Okay. And so that it kind of scares me. And so if Pulse is going to be valued at, I know, pre-bridge, launch when it's ratio trading, I'm guessing a price might be, let's say 0.001, let's say. Well, the question really is, how much P hex do I want to give up to get Pulse? And especially if everybody's doing it, and who's holding the Pulse? It's people that have been holding it for a year that know that we all want it. So to make a long story short, I plan on trading my P hex for Pulse, but I'm going to need to get at least 75, 80 to 1. Otherwise, I'm not going to get ripped off, because I think I would be getting ripped off. That's my one strategy. My other strategy, and I'm scared to say this, so I don't want to give it away to everybody out there, but the AMM fixer bot is going to be doing liquidity pairs with everything. And when I say everything, meaning all of the ETH pairs that are on Uniswap. So let's say you hold some obscure ERC20 like Cult DAO. Nobody holds that, okay? Or you hold UFO. No, not a lot of people own UFO or Cult DAO, for example. So if I'm going to get the copy of it onto PulseChain, right? Well, now I've got the copy of it on PulseChain, and there should be a liquidity pool of the P Cult DAO paired with Pulse if the fixer bot captured it, and now I could trade my P Cult DAO for Pulse. That's what I'm going to do, hoping that not a lot of other people have UFO, P UFO on the other side to swap for their Pulse. The gamble is that the fixer bot captured that liquidity pair and created that pair on PulseChain, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but do you think there'll be demand for UFO earlier on, or do you think eventually there will be demand?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. And the reason why I say that, and I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but I don't care because I still hold my UFO on the ETH chain, and I'm just going to hold it because I think it's going to go up. Whatever. I like it. Whatever. For whatever reason. We can argue about that later, but I just think it's going to go up. But now I've got the P version. Now I've got P UFO that I'm just going to get rid of. If it ends up going up, then I made a bad trade. But if I trade my P UFO, and I don't know what the ratios are, but let's say that the fixer bot gives it a certain value equivalent to the 1.2 million equivalent, in ratios to what it is on Uniswap, I'm going to get full value for it for PLS. So I might be able to get really good value for it for my PLS on this side if I'm early enough to do that swap. While everybody's trading their PUSDC for Pulse, and while everybody's trading their Hex for Pulse, and while everybody's trading their PLSX for Pulse, I'm going to be the guy trading PUFO for my Pulse.
Working in the opposite direction. So
it's a gamble. It's a gamble because if there's no liquidity pair for it, right?
That's right.
Then I just carried that through the fork for no reason. What a waste, right?
No, it's always worth a try. And on this channel, we appreciate forward thinking. So I want to know your opinion on stable coins. Do you have any stable coins ready? And which stable coin do you think is going to be the most parity on the day?
I have a little tiny stack of DAI, and I have a little tiny stack of USDC, and they're just sitting on my MetaMask waiting for the fork because I thought it was going to happen this week or whatever. That's why it's sitting there. Don't get me wrong. I still have my Hex and my UFO and my Cult DAO. I have all that sitting on my MetaMask, but then I also have those two. To answer your question, the USDC, I think, is going to be turned off real quick. And when I say real quick, I think it's going to be invalidated minutes after the launch prior to the bridge. So in that 24 to 48 hour ratio trading period. My other question is, unless you swap the PUSDC for PLS, if there's a liquidity pair for that, that's a swap you would make. But other than that, why would anybody put out a PUSDC pair with Pulse? Why would anybody trade it away? I don't understand why anybody would give up their PLS for PUSDC if they're somewhat knowledgeable and know there's a good chance it's going to be invalidated. So I don't expect anybody to be putting up that ratio or pair out there. That's just, I don't expect that.
And
I think it's gonna be turned off real quick. The die is a good question. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I'm just taking it through the fork, and my P die I'll use to trade if it has any value, right? If I could get anything for it, maybe I trade it for P SHIB. Maybe I trade it for PLS. Like I said, maybe I trade it for PulseX. But then the real reason why I have them in my MetaMask is then once the bridge opens, then I'm gonna bridge it across, and then I'll be able to buy up what I want to buy up.
Okay, so you're gonna bridge the die, and you're gonna bridge the USDC, and you're gonna use that to buy the Pulse. Is that right?
Or whatever things I want to get. Maybe I want to get more PHEX. Maybe the price of PHEX is low at the beginning. I don't think it will be. I think it's one of the things that's going to reach parity super quick. So if Pulse is at, let's say, 20 cents right before the launch, that means maybe let's just say 10 cents and 10 cents, or maybe you value your PHEX a little bit higher. So maybe the ratio is 12 cents to 8 cents for EHEX, for just regular hex. So I think they're going to reach parity pretty quick. I think RH even said you're not going to get cheap PHEX, and so I think that they're going to create a situation where it's going to reach parity pretty quick.
So how quickly is quick? Seconds?
I'm thinking seconds. Some people think weeks, some people think days, some people think hours. I'm saying in seconds. That's just what I'm saying.
In seconds, it's going to shoot up to 10 cents or something.
Or whatever. Yeah. If hex is going for around 20 cents at the time, then yeah, let's say 10 cents and 10 cents. The unfortunate thing is that your EHEX, we'll just call it EHEX for sake of to not get confused, but your regular hex on Ethereum, it's gonna go down too, because you're getting a stock split. So if it's 20 cents and now you're getting some on the other side, it's like a stock split. It's just going to go down in value on the Ethereum side.
But then you know what will happen with the EHEX? Once the price dumps, the hexagons are going to buy that dump.
And so am I, because the reason why is, yeah, and so am I. Because the reason why is that I'm going to be able to get my T shares, your multiplier, for cheaper, because if the EHEX goes down to 5 cents, let's say, and it's worth 15 cents on the other side, back to our 20-cent example, I'm going to be able to buy a whole bag of them for 5 cents each, and then do some more stakes, and I'm going to be able to obtain that many more T shares, or let's say I want to try to get one full T share. It's not going to cost me. It might only cost me $1,000 to get one T share at 5 cents, whereas it's going to cost me whatever $2,500 to get a T share if it's at 15 cents or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of hexagons are going to do. They're just going to keep buying either PHEX or EHEX until they secure a big bag of both. So that's
agreed.
Yeah. Okay. And what about other coins? Quant. You have wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ether. What's your view on wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ether, Quant?
I'm not dealing with any of them. I don't have any Bitcoin right now. I'm just not going to deal with them at all. Just that's my own personal preference. I'm going with the other strategy, like I said, of holding a couple of obscure things like NuCypher, UFO, Cult DAO, just the ones that just nobody has. And I'm just hoping that it secures a liquidity pair for Pulse on the DEX, on PulseX. And that's what I'm hoping for. So the other stuff I'm just not going to hold. Maybe they go up in value, but I'm not interested in holding those.
Sure. And with the pre-bridge, are you going to bridge any of your PulseX to obscure things? So an example is trading your PulseX for wrapped Bitcoin for, let's say, your example for UFO. I know you're doing the opposite, but
sure.
Is there an option where you're actually using your PulseX to, let's say, to trade quant before the bridge?
Right. My quick and simple answer is hell no. Okay. I'm not getting rid of my PulseX. My PulseX is going to be super valuable. It's going to be the best thing around. Maybe that takes 3 months. Maybe it takes a year and a half. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it takes 3 years. But the PulseX is super value, and as much as everybody understands it and loves it, they still underestimate it. That's all I'm going to say. Like all the things we could do with it, the staking, we're going to be able to choose from several different staking pools of what you want to earn. Maybe these staking pools have some fantastic things in them, like Mintra or other items, PowerCity. Who knows what coins are going to be available to stake for, some real valuable coins. Maybe you could stake to earn USDL. I mean, I have no idea what's going to be in these staking pools. So that's just some of the stuff that PLSX is going to have value, not even to get into the whole buy and burn and why the price is going to go way up. Okay.
And what's your staking strategy in terms of, are you going to take 50% and reinvest? Or are you going to do 100%? Are you going to do 75%? What's your go?
With my PLS, if I'm lucky enough to gather some, like I said, is I'll probably just I'll I'll either hold it and probably just submit it to a validator if there's no minimum. I'm not sure if there's a minimum or not. But I'll probably just, delegate it to a validator and earn whatever interest that gets. I probably won't pick the most popular validator. I'll probably pick one of the more middle level ones to try to have a bigger slice of the pie in that guy's pool.
Okay.
The PLSX, like I just mentioned a minute ago, is I'm going to be staking basically all of it. I'm not going to be getting rid of any of it, but I'm going to be staking all of it in these several different pools. I'm hoping several different pools that'll be eventually going once the DAO and the core approves these pools as people submit proposals. Then I'm going to be trying to gather those brand new tokens. And if it's something that I think is valuable, maybe Pulse Dogecoin is one of them or whatever, and I think it's valuable, then I'll hold it. If I'm staking for something that I acquire that I feel is not as strong or something that I don't want to hold, then that's when I'll convert it and sell it or swap it into more PLS, for example.
Okay, so your strategy is your staking rewards. You're either going to buy more obscure coins in the hope that they'll appreciate, or you're going to convert that to PulseChain. You're going to use it to either convert to PulseChain or to convert it to Fiat and then buy PulseChain. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if I stake and earn Mintra, let's say Mintra is one of them, and I earn more Mintra, and I don't want to keep my Mintra for whatever reason, which I do want to keep it, but let's say I don't, then I'll just swap on the PulseX DEX. I'll then swap that Mintra into PLS or into PHEX, and then add to my PHEX bag that I'll be using to stake or ladder.
Okay, no problems. And tell me what other things that you want to discuss with the PulseX PulseChain.
I think there's a couple little gems that people may not realize or have overlooked. For one, a couple of these airdrops that we're going to be getting. Everybody's going to be getting this Pulse Doge.win. That's everybody that sacrificed for PulseX, and you also get a 2x multiplier if you had a Mintra sacrifice. The last four numbers of the Pulse Doge.win contract is E495, if that's the real one. But people are going to be getting that, and you might not see it right in your MetaMask. You might have to go to the Etherscan and see that it's one of the things that you now hold. And so I'm letting you people know that watch out for Pulse Doge win. Kira, K-I-R-A, it's called the kiratoken.com, but Kira is another one. Not a lot of people know that they're going to be getting, and you're going to be getting it if you sacrifice for PLSX. And it's going to be involved in NFTs on Mintra and stuff like that, which we won't get into its functionality, but the contract is 446 DC, and look out for your Kira. Also, it might not appear right away in your MetaMask running tokens, but you might have to go to Etherscan on your wallet to then see in your holdings that it's one of them, and then you can add it to your token total. Another one a lot of people might not realize is this NFT on Pulse.io. The token's going to be called INNO, I-N-N-O. I don't have a contract on that one yet. I don't think it's been manufactured, but that's going to be one that's going to be airdropped to all the PLS and PLSX sacrificers. So again, you might not just automatically see it in your MetaMask when you're in the PulseChain, settings. You might have to just go to Etherscan and then, the PulseScan, and look it up to see that it's one of your brand new holdings that you weren't expecting, and then add it to your tokens.
So for those people who just sacrificed for PulseX, you're saying they will get free Pulse Doge and free Kira, or is that only for Mintra holders?
That one is for the PulseX sacrificers.
Okay, so you're saying people get 2 free airdrops at the moment?
And that I know of, and you're also going to get the NFT on Pulse. That's the INNO, I-N-N-O. You're going to get that if you sacrifice for Pulse and PulseX. So just rent free. Who knows what the value is going to be? But this Pulse Dogecoin that we got for free, shoot, it's worth what, $2.50 right now for one, and we got it for free. And that was the first one that came out maybe a month ago or whatever. Everybody was nervous and scared to upload it. I mean, to claim it, but it turned out that it was fine.
Yeah, never know.
And look, now I got like 25 of them or whatever, and now I've got an extra $70 in my account, or $70 worth of token.
Okay, and what ratio do you think is going to eventuate with the Prebridge? Do you think it's going to be a 1-to-1, a 1-to-2, or 1-to-3?
I think the bottom line and the short answer is it's going to be about 3-to-1. That's not what I want to see, but again, I'm not going to get rid of any of my PulseX anyway, so I don't care. But it's going to be about 3-to-1, and the short answer reason why is that you got to ask yourself who holds the PLS. It's the guys that are smart, that know its value. They've held it for over a year now. They know the demand for it because they're attentive and have been following what's going on. They're not going to give it away for cheap. So unless RH somehow lets some of the PLS that the OA holds and lets that go for a cheaper price, that's the only way. That's your only hope. Otherwise, you're not going to get it for less than 3 to 1.
That's the interesting thing. I did release a video and I had a look at the PulseX website, and apparently there was a vote being done by the holders, and they said which ratio do you want, and 1-to-1 was voted, I think 80%.
Why do you think they wanted that?
Well, that's the question, is why do you think that they put a vote? Is that because they're going to influence the OA trades?
That if the OA is even looking, yeah. But again, who are all these people making those votes? They're people that are begging for a 1-to-1.
Yeah, okay? Yeah, that's true.
So you're right. Maybe they're trying to just get it out there that they're begging hard enough that that's going to be the ratio. But if the OA is not involved, these guys aren't letting that stuff go for cheap. They're just not. They're going to absolutely fleece everybody.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a PulseChain holder.
Yeah.
Okay, continue on.
Something else I have here that I think everybody should know about that's pretty valuable, and I apologize if people already know about this, but some of the newer people may not. You should go to what's called tokensniffer.com, tokensniffer.com. And what that is for some of you newer people, when you go to claim, for example, this Kira, for example, if you're not sure what the contract address is, if you're not sure that's the real Kira, and it could be some kind of scam or something you're going to claim and then get your wallet completely rinsed, you want to first go to your Etherscan, first pull up that token and see what the contract address is. And you can check the contract address by pulling it up on the PulseX DEX, or you can look in your own wallet when you hit that Etherscan, view my wallet, and you want to look and see what the address is of that particular token. You then go to this tokensniffer.com, enter the address, and it'll tell you if that's the real address or if it's something that's going to really just, hammer you and it's not good for you. And it's just a good thing. It takes you, 2 seconds to just double check it. If it's something you don't know about, if it's hex or something we know about, you're probably good. If you see that it's verified by 8 different sources or whatever, on your application when you're going to buy it or swap for it, you're fine. But if it's something that's only verified by like one source, or you're not sure what you're claiming, you never heard of it, and it's in your wallet, go to that tokensniffer.com, you copy and paste the address and put it in there, and it'll basically give it like a rating of, I think, 0 to 100 with comments on why they think it's good or why they say don't do it, don't claim it, it's not right, it's not good.
For which token, sorry?
Any token you want, anything you want to add, any address you want to enter in there.
Okay.
So like when you get this NFT on Pulse Inno airdrop, you might be some schmo that has no idea what it is. Where'd this come from? Copy and paste that address of it first before you download it, before you claim it, I should say, and put it in this tokensniffer.com, and it'll say, 85%, rating, or like it'll give it some good rating, or it's going to give it a 0% rating, and it's going to say this you cannot exchange for anything in the open market. That means nobody out there is buying it because they all think it's a scam.
Okay, that's a good idea.
It's a good thing to have, and it just takes you a couple of seconds for something that you're not sure about. Another thing that people probably don't even know about, and if you do, I apologize if people know about this, but you want to do what's called a token approval / revoke and check what you currently have as approved or revocable for your wallet. What I mean by that is when you buy something, let's just say you buy USDC, you're giving that contract approval to do that swap. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go to the etherscan.io / token approval checker is what it's called. Okay. And when you do that, it'll pull up, when you enter your wallet address, it'll pull up the ones that you've given these approvals to. You'll be surprised, not you, but our viewers would be surprised when you look and you see what approvals you currently have open to other addresses. You're gonna be like, why do I have an open approval for unlimited quantity of my hex to this particular address? You're going to be like, where the hell did that come from? Well, it came when you initially purchased the hex, you gave that approval, which was fine. But for some reason, they attached that, and now it's still open as an open approval in your wallet. And so what you want to do is you want to go to this etherscan.io / token approval checker, enter your address and it'll show you which approvals you currently have open. And for a small gas fee, you can revoke those approvals to those particular people out there in the world that have that current open approval on you.
And that's on the old Ethereum system. Not, you can't do it on the PulseChain. Is that right?
I think you're going to be able to do it on PulseChain. I'm just not sure exactly what it's going to be called, but there should be a way to do that too, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't want to mislead anybody. All I know about is the one on Etherscan right now. And like I said, if it's not a matter of urgency, but it's something you probably want to do. And so maybe do it on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning or a Saturday night when the ETH traffic and the gas fees are low, and it might cost you $3 or $4 to revoke that approval that you have for unlimited USDC in your wallet to some guy that you bought it from way back when. There's no reason to have that open anymore.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
I wanted to know your opinions on PulsePot, which has been circulating around. Tell us about PulsePot and, more about
Sure. I know it's a newer one that's only been out for maybe a week to a couple of days now. I actually did sacrifice for it. As I mentioned earlier, I like to gamble, so it's something that I might gamble with, but I don't, promote gambling to anybody. But I sacrificed for it. My reasoning was I bought it now because I'm getting it for $5 a unit for one, for one PLSP token. But the site is indicating that the price is going to be always $30, possibly more, but I believe at least $30 for one PLSP token. So if I'm getting them now for $5, I'm already, making 6x or whatever that is, 5x on my money to get them if they're going to be worth $30. And so whether I use them to gamble with on the site, because every time you do a game with that, where you do one of those games, the site automatically throws in one PLSP token. So at the very least, no matter what you win against your opponents, you're going to win one of those too. And again, on the site, they're worth at least $30 each. So you know that every game is going to be worth at least that $30 because you get awarded one of those. The only real question that I have is, what are these going to be worth on the open market outside of that website?
Yeah, it's a good question. Is there any other projects or any other things that you were looking into?
Sure. One of the things I've been watching and waiting for, like probably a lot of people, is these Hedron auctions that are going to be coming up. For you that out there that don't understand what that means, is if you do a hex stake through the Hedron site, an HSI stake, I believe it's called, you could then have the opportunity to borrow against that hex stake. And we're not going to get into it right now. That's for another conversation. But the bottom line is people out there have borrowed Hedron against their hex stake. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you then have to make, I believe it's monthly payments. And if you miss your payment, the loan, if you will, is going to eventually go into default, I believe, after 90 days. Well, it's now, whatever today's date is, we're now getting close, I believe starting next week, where some of these defaulted loans, if you will, are going to be going into effect. So you got to say to yourself, what are you willing to pay? Because it's going to be an auction. And the way you auction is you use your Hedron to bid on these defaulted hex stake loans that people took out. Mm-hmm. So that raises two issues. One, what are you willing to pay for a defaulted hex stake? What do you got to say to yourself? How much is the hex worth in that hex stake? But you also got to say to yourself, just because it's worth X amount of dollars, they did it however long ago. Let's say they made that stake, whatever it was, a month and a half ago when they initiated it. That means their T-share was worth that much more then. So they're getting a little bit more on their T-share value, their multiplier, than nowadays being 2 months later or 3 months later or whatever it is. So the hex is not worth just what it's worth. It's worth actually more because the T-share rate is a little bit higher from 3 months ago. Bottom line is you got to say to yourself, what am I willing to pay for it? The second thing is, I don't think the people out there realize the value of Hedron in general, and it's highly undervalued right now. And people don't understand all the things you could do with it besides just use it to borrow against your hex stake. You could use it to create a hex, an NFT, and then just sell it, not out of desperation, but you could then put it and sell it like on OpenSea, and you're probably going to be able to sell it on some of these different sites like Mintra and NFT on Pulse. These different sites are going to deal with NFTs. That's another strong value for Hedron. I just don't think that people truly understand how important Hedron really is.
So no one's ever, I guess, answered this question for me, but can't people just buy Hedron directly and make more
Correct.
Hedron copies than actually just minting it?
You can, and once we get to PulseChain, where it's only going to cost a third of a penny to do a stake, yes, I'll put in a 50,000 hex stake, and then mint, and then one day before the stake is concluded, then mint all the Hedron from that, right? And it's only going to cost me a third of a penny to do it, and then I could then create another 1 week hex stake, and then manufacture more Hedron. But the thing is, you're only getting it at whatever. You can only create so much Hedron based on the length of the stake.
Yeah.
So you still have to tie it for hex. If you want to do a 2-year hex stake, then you're going to get 2 years worth of Hedron out of that.
Yeah.
But now your hex is tied up.
Well, what I mean is, can't you just physically just buy Hedron directly from an exchange, like a decentralized?
Yes, it's selling for whatever, 5 zeros and a 1, or whatever it's currently selling for.
If you put $1,000, wouldn't you get more Hedron than you would if you had a small amount of hex staked?
I haven't done that calculation, but yes, to answer your question, $1,000 of Hedron is going to be, you're going to get about 1 billion. You'll probably get about 1 billion Hedron.
The
question though,
minting it, really.
I understand what you're saying. It's just an extra thing. It's an extra benefit because people don't realize how valuable the Hedron is going to be. So let's say you've got a hex stake, a defaulted hex stake that you value at, let's say it's got $1,500 value. However you reach that value, to each their own. But let's say you personally have deemed that it's worth about $1,500 to you. So you got to say to yourself, how much Hedron am I willing to bid on this auction when the default auction is available? I don't know. I'd bid $1,000 worth of Hedron. I'd bid $1,200 worth of Hedron to get a $1,500 stake, or what I valued at $1,500. But back to what you just said, that means I need to have 1 billion Hedron to make $1,000 bid.
Yeah.
People don't understand the value of this Hedron. They just don't. And I just see it going up in value. Maybe not tomorrow, but it's going to be going up in value as people realize what they can do with it besides just bidding on these defaulted hex stakes.
Yeah, I think people don't understand it. That's the problem. It's a very difficult concept to understand. And what I tell people is just go to the Hedron website and just connect your wallet, and then just see with your eyes how much shares you've got in hex, and that way it kind of it's better than trying to understand it on paper, because otherwise people don't get it. The other problem I have with Hedron, I only anticipate hexicans and some pulsicans using Hedron, but no one outside the ecosystem. I could be wrong.
Like I said, no one knows about the power of it, and that's the thing. Until people start seeing these hex stakes listed for sale on Mintra, for example, and then these guys are looking, well, what does that get there? Well, it got there because he did it through the Hedron Pro site, and that's how he manufactured it and created that in the first place. Yeah. I don't know. You're right. It has to gain adoption and traction.
That's right. That's right. So what are the tidbits and other gems that you have for us?
Sure. I'm really high on PowerCity. I sacked for it. I'm not sure if the sacrifice is still going. I'm not sure what kind of rate people would get now. That's not what I'm selling you. But one of the features on PowerCity that I don't think a lot of people realize is they're going to have this transformer bridge. And I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but this thing is going to be awesome. Because what it's going to do is it's going to be able to bypass Ethereum and the ETH mainnet, most importantly, the ETH gas fees. And specifically how it's going to work, and don't quote me on this, people don't beat me up in the chat on this later on, but my understanding of how it's going to work is, let's say you hold Phantom and you're on the Phantom network. Well, you're going to connect your MetaMask to Phantom, and then you're going to be able to swap and then you're going to do this through the PowerCity Transformer Bridge site. And then you're going to swap Phantom directly for Pulse on PulseChain. And it's going to do that whole swap, and I'm sure it's going to charge a small fee or whatever, but you're going to then pay the gas, in Phantom and Pulse is what you'll be paying the gas in. Or whatever the gas is on the Phantom website, on the Phantom chain, but you're going to bypass the ETH gas fees. So let's say you do it, with Solana or with, Avalanche or, Binance or whatever site you're going from. Bottom line, and again, people don't beat me up on this. PowerCity hasn't put it out yet, so people haven't had a chance to play with it yet. So that's why I'm saying don't beat me up. all I'm saying is, bottom line is, you're going to be able to bypass all these horrible ETH gas fees and just do your bridge directly from, like I said, let's say the Phantom site directly to Pulse. So I want to avoid these gas fees. These ETH gas fees are brutal. So for those newer people out there, or someone not newer, I could just go to Coinbase and buy my Phantom, send it to my MetaMask wallet on the Phantom, chain, and then do this transformer bridge on PowerCity with my wallet being set on the Phantom chain directly to PulseChain with this transformer bridge. And again, that's how I'm going to avoid the ETH gas fees. And I might not be saying that exactly right. Again, it's not out yet. So
it makes sense. Okay. Just for the viewers, so when they use the PulseChain bridge on their standard Ethereum net,
right?
Will they be paying the Ethereum gas fees, or will they be paying?
They will. Yes, you pay it twice. You're going to pay it when you're sending something from the ETH mainnet to PulseChain. So, like, if you want to bridge, what we talked about a little while ago, I'm going to be bridging my USDC for my MetaMask. I'm going to be paying, and if I'm doing this on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock my time, I'm going to get jacked. I'm going to be paying $45, or who knows what the gas fee is going to be. If I decide to do it on a Saturday at 6 o'clock my time, maybe the gas fee is only $10. I don't know. To answer your question, yes. But then when you want to bridge out, let's say you've got something of value, even USDC on PulseChain, you've done your swapping, you've done your trading, whatever you've done, you've got your gains that you eventually have worked into getting it into eDAI or eUSDC on PulseChain, and then you bridge it across to your MetaMask. You're going to pay the 1/3 of a penny on the PulseChain part of the bridge, but then you're going to have to pay your gas fee, your ETH gas fee on the other side to claim it into your MetaMask wallet. So then you're going to get just ripped right there. So this transformer bridge is going to be a way to avoid that. I could just send myself, Phantom back across, send it to my MetaMask, and then send that Phantom from my MetaMask, and convert it. However you want to do it, you're still going to pay, the gas fees, but this is a way to avoid the ETH gas fees.
So you go to an external website called PowerCity or whatever it is.
Right. It's going to get a PowerCity up. Yeah.
And then you connect your MetaMask wallet, and then you come up with the bridge. And then let's say you move your, what I'm assuming you could just move things like Hex or whatever. So you put in that you want to bridge Hex onto the Pulse chain, and then it uses up Phantom, and then you click accept, and it will move it to the Pulse chain without. Oh, sorry, you're saying. Or do you go to the PulseX website, connect wallet there? So, just to make
it clear, it's going to and PowerCity is going to have a whole bunch of functions on there. It's going to be an NFT site that you can go there to watch a concert. There's going to be all types of the whole entire ecosystem there. So this is just one of the small facets of it. Okay. But this is going to be one of it. And again, the specific details I'm not sure of. You might not be able to, back to your example, you might not be able to hold Hex in your wallet on the Phantom chain. I don't think you can, because Hex is an Ethereum ERC20. Yeah. So, but you're saying is that yes, that's what you'll be doing. The bottom line is you're going to be bypassing the ETH gas fees.
Okay.
And we all need to look into it more. And once they release it and people can play with it, I'll be able to answer questions better on it. I'm just basically just putting it out there. And there might be other bridges that are going to be opening. Maybe Binance will have a bridge. Who knows what bridges are going to be available? This is just one of the ones that I know of that's going to be coming sooner rather than later.
Sure. And I wanted to ask, I guess, the $1 million question, or for some people, the $100 million question.
Yeah.
What do you think is your price prediction for both PulseX and PulseChain, and Hex for that matter? Let's say short term at 6 months, 12 months, 2 years.
With I think at the beginning, Pulse is going to pump because of big money that'll be coming in. People that companies that couldn't sacrifice because of the verbiage that we spoke about earlier. They were scared. Oh my God, I'm sending this to an address in oblivion. Don't expect the profit from others. You're sacrificing for free speech, things that would make a big company or a big investor nervous. Well, now they realize this is the real deal. So I think big money can be coming in early. To answer your question, I think the price of Pulse opening is going to be 2 zeros and a 1, 0.001 is my guesstimate. And that'll be 10 to 12x for people that got it early sacrifice. Mm-hmm. but the price in the first 6 months, it could be up to, 2 zeros and a 5, 0.005, maybe in 6 months, in a year. I'm hoping it gets to a penny. Who knows? It's hard to say because there's going to be a dip also. PulseX, I think PulseX at the beginning, the price won't be as strong because there's more of it out there. I mean, more people hold it, but the ratio trading, what we talked about, people giving up 2.5 PulseX for 1 Pulse, all that ratio trading that's going to take place, that's not going to affect the price, I don't think, on launch, because all that ratio trading is pre-monetary value pricing and value. It's just people maneuvering themselves, maybe for a tax situation or whatever. You want to get yourself positioned, while you're doing it without any consequences, because you're not making a sale and incurring a taxable event. You're just swapping something that has 0 value. But at launch, everybody's already going to have what they want. So I don't see people just getting rid of their PulseX and just selling it. They may have swapped it and done a bunch of stuff, but I don't think people will be dumping it. So I think it's going to have some secure value once the launch starts. To answer your question on that one, I'm guessing it opens at 0.3 zeros on a 5 is what I'm guessing.
3 zeros.
Somewhere in there. Okay. 3 zeros on a 5. And then maybe in 6 months, it's going to get up to that 2 zeros on a 1, 0.001. And then after a year, just hard to say. Maybe, it's just hard to say what kind of demand. And with this buy and burn, as it gains traction and people learn more about it and it becomes more popular and they realize this thing is the real deal, I think the sky's the limit. But I'm not going to moonboy some crazy numbers like everybody else is saying and put out false hope, and because we're all not going to just be millionaires overnight. It's just the life doesn't work that way, And
what do you think is going to be the ratio for PulseX to Hex?
That's a good question. That one I haven't really thought a lot about, but at the beginning, I mean, it might be 35, 40 to 1, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
40 to 1.
I mean, I don't know.
So that would be, okay. So 40 PulseX tokens will get you 1 hex.
Oh no, the other way around. One hex for 1. Yeah, I'm sorry, 1 hex. The problem is that we don't know how much P hex is going to be worth at the beginning, because we already agreed, or at least I said that I think it's going to reach parity quick. So let's say it's at 20 cents, you're giving it a price of 10, 12 cents. That could, who knows? I mean, to get PulseX, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that you might be able to get 300, 350 to 1 at the beginning, or in ratio trading or at the very beginning.
Let's say pre-ratio trading. Pre-bridge trading.
Pre-bridge, yeah.
Let's say someone has 100,000 PulseX tokens. How much X tokens do you reckon they would get?
It's hard to say. I mean, I haven't really done a lot of math on that one, so I don't want to say the wrong answer. I just don't know, because I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people that's their strategy, the PulseX hex strategy. But I guess what if people missed out on the PulseX sacrifice too, then I guess they're gonna be using their P hex to swap for PLSX. That one I haven't really analyzed that deeply. I don't want to give a wrong answer.
Yeah, knowing the hexagons though, most of them have probably gotten into PulseX. So that trading pair might not be the best one. That being said, you never know, and you could be surprised. You may get a good deal, but but you can also get wrecked, I suppose. But and to answer your question on the third thing, you got asked, what about the price of hex? We've talked about the price of P hex. We think it's going to reach parity pretty quick, but in the horizon, I think that with this RH movie, I think it's called Highest of Stakes movie or video, whatever this thing's going to be coming out, that's going to add a lot of promotion. And obviously that's one of the main reasons for it, besides him, wanting to show off or whatever. But him showing off is a promotion. So it all has meaning and definition. But there's other things too. There's other things that are going to really get Hex going that people aren't thinking of. You have something like this Hex Investment Trust that's going to be coming out, and some of these more popular OG guys that are involved. When that gains traction, you're going to be allowed to use your 401k or IRA money, your retirement money, non-taxable, and use it. With these guys will then invest it for you. And I don't understand, it hasn't come out yet, so I don't know the exact details. But imagine something like that gaining traction. Imagine you being able to go to your financial advisor and investing in this Hex Investment Trust and putting your money there, making 30% interest a year or whatever you're going to be making.
that's going to be a huge bump. And that's probably going to be happening on the ETH mainnet side, most likely, because you're making a big stake. You don't care about a $50 ETH gas fee if you're doing some $200,000, ETH stake or whatever for somebody. So that's something that could really, and plus, the ETH mainnet is the more secure, not secure, but it's the more known track record site. So, that's the reason why I think the ETH hex is going to retain its value. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But this hex investment trust is going to be a big deal. It's going to, once it gains traction and popularity,
Definitely.
imagine what that could do for the industry,
I think at some point, we could potentially be looking at $1 hex. I mean, 45 cents or whatever is what they reached with a relatively small community and with very, very much obscurity. I can easily seeing it go to $1. So yeah,
totally agreed. And just imagine if some celebrity or some real strong influencer, and we've already had some strong influencers. I'm talking like like Tom Brady, and I'm not saying he's involved, but just imagine some real big influencer, making a statement or saying, hey, I now own Hex, or just doing one quick tweet or just whatever. That could make it go viral, and that wouldn't take a lot to have happen. Whatever, I think we've got 300,000 wallets that now hold Hex or whatever the number is. I mean, Hex has large Telegram groups. It's got a big following. There's a lot of YouTubers that track it and discuss it and promote it and enjoy it and benefit from it and think it's a great thing, which I agree with. It's just going to continue to gain traction. And then now you've got the idea that you could stake your PHEX on the PulseChain side for less than a penny. So how great is that to onboard somebody? Before, you'd have to onboard your buddy. He's like, well, I've only got $200, and it gives you you go through the steps of the $200, and after he gets through all the gas fees and all the staking fees and having to buy Ethereum and all the BS that you got to do with it, he now has a $120 hex stake. He just got smoked. But now, hopefully, between using something like a transformer bridge for cheap or different strategies we're going to be able to do, you're going to be able to onboard someone hopefully for a whole lot cheaper. And now their $200 is going to be able to get them a $190, hex stake or whatever. I just think that's a good feature. Bottom line is, I think Hex can really blow up.
Agreed. A quick question. Let's say you've got the other stuff. So you've got your SHIB, you've got your quant, you've got your other stuff just hanging loose, your chain link. Do you theoretically wait on it for a year until the price goes to parity, or are you going to be? I know you said you're just going to see what's going to happen, but are people going to be trading their ERC20 or PRC20 copies straight away, or is it best to wait for about a year or something until it reaches near parity, or
Right. That's a tough question. I think people are going to be trading their PRC20 copies for whatever they can get, if they can get Hex with it or PulseX with it, all these different things we talked about. And that wouldn't be anything bad, because no matter how high their P link could have gotten, they still also got PLSX for it, right? Or they still got Hex for it. So they didn't lose, right? But so I don't think that they're going to, make a bad trade doing that. But wouldn't it be horrible that you got rid of your P link? And I have no idea what link's going for right now. Maybe, I don't even have any idea. But and all of a sudden it reaches parity, and now you've got $8 link in 2 months from now or whatever they're going for or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, I wish I hadn't just dumped it off for something that was worth less than a penny. Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think for the premium coins, I think it'd be advisable to hold it until it reaches parity. But that being said, even the so-called crap coins like Shiba Inu, that part of me just says to just hold it, because you just never know. You really never know with the SHIB, because the SHIB army apparently is coming to PulseChain.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, because the fixer bot is going to have a liquidity pair that's supposed to be even. So whatever that dollar value is, $100,000 worth of PSHIB and $100,000 worth of PSHIB is going to make the pair. So that's what gives it value. Now, whether people completely, bleed it out and swap out one way, then I guess whoever put up that parity, that liquidity pool besides the fixer bot, they're going to lose badly, right? They're going to get wiped out. So it's a risk. I'm not putting up, some Chainlink, E-Chainlink, P-Chainlink liquidity pool pair, because I'm super fearful that all the P-Link people are going to swap it out from my E-Link and just wipe me out. And now I'm going to be holding 100% P-Link at the end of the day. And I'm going to get wiped out because of that. And so all I know is I'm not going to be the guy putting up the liquidity pool. I'm not going to risk getting wiped out.
Yeah, it's a risky endeavor to do it, especially with those obscure ones.
Agreed.
Yeah. So go on. Is there anything else that you wanted to?
Sure. Just another tidbit for people out there that may not know. And if you do, I apologize if you know, but I'm super high on liquid loans, sacked for it, sacked so that I've got money coming 24 months from now, blah, blah, blah. We won't get into that. I'm not here to promote it, but I am high on it. And I really like the functionality of the site. One thing that people, I think, don't realize is that it's a $2,000 minimum loan.
Yeah, people don't realize that.
Yeah. People don't realize that. Everybody's talking like, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to do this with my Pulse and do that. No, you're going to wreck yourself. And here's the why. Because to take out a $2,000 loan, and for all you people that don't understand, you're putting in a certain amount of Pulse, let's say $2,000 worth of Pulse, to then take out a $2,000 USDL loan. That's what you're doing, okay? So to not get liquidated, meaning to not backdoor yourself, and if it's a minimum of $2,000, and that's a lot of money to some people, to a lot of people, especially everybody being wiped out lately because of the markets, you don't want to liquidate yourself. So you need to put in, I mean, what's a safe number? I don't want to put in less than $6,000 worth of Pulse to then pull out my $2,000 USDL loan. So because you get liquidated at 110%. So that means using this minimum of $2,000, that means if the price of Pulse goes down to $2,200, let's say you now have $2,200 worth of Pulse that you put in there off of your $6,000 you put down. When it reaches $2,200, boom, you get liquidated, and you now I've lost that stash. Yes, you walked away with $2,000 worth of USDL that you're now using in the open market somewhere, or whatever you did with it, but you just lost your $6,000 worth of Pulse because it reached $2,200 worth of value. And you just got. So what I'm fearful of is that people are like, oh shit, I didn't realize it's $2,000 minimum. I'm going to take out a loan I'm going to be a wise guy. I'm only going to put up $3,000. I'm going to be safe. I'm only going to put up $3,000 worth of Pulse, right? Take out a $2,000 USDL loan and I'll be good. No, you won't. The market is volatile. Things happen. There's always going to be some kind of market crash, some kind of, interest rate increase or decrease. There's always going to be a war. Something's always going to happen. And you're cutting it too close, because when your $3,000 worth of Pulse goes down in value and now reaches $2,200, 110%, boom, the system liquidates you. You just lost your $3,000 worth of Pulse. Well, that was now worth $2,200. Yes, I understand you walked away with $2,000 worth of USDL, but now you just lost $2,200 worth of Pulse. Yeah. Technically, you lost the $3,000 because you cut it too close.
Yeah. And personally, I'm not a big fan of liquid loans. I'll tell you the reason why. Sure. This kind of ties into the USDT talk that I gave recently. Suppose USDT was to crash, and there's already talks about DPEG and dropping down to 95 cents and $7 billion being withdrawn from the USDT tether, centralization, blah, blah, blah. And let's just say PulseChain gets launched, people put in liquid loans, and then we have a complete catastrophe where the whole crypto market just goes almost to zero, because most trading pairs are in USDT. A lot of reserves, a lot of foundations have reserves in USDT and their associated pairs. What happens if the price of Pulse absolutely flatlines, right? Obviously it'll recover, but what if there's a major event that will absolutely wipe people? That's my biggest fear, and the reason why I'm personally not doing liquid loans is
my answer is this, and I'm not saying this because I'm a liquid loans backer and sacked. That's not why I'm going to give this answer. My answer is you're still fine, and here's my reason why: because one USDL is still backed by $1 worth of PLS. So if PLS dropped all the way down to 4 zeros and a 1, but it reached sack rate or lower, whatever.
Hmm.
Now it's just going to take however many of those to create 1 USDL. The vault is still intact. You still own 1 USDL. You could still return it for $1 worth of Pulse. And they're still over collateralized in the system. They're not going to do, a Terra Luna and give out 300% for every $1. They're not going to do that. They're actually over collateralized in the system. And I don't want to get into the details of how and why. Do your own research. And again, all this is not financial advice to anybody out there. This is just two guys talking on the internet. But my answer is it's still backed by $1 worth of Pulse. That's my answer.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. Anything else?
Just one of the projects that's coming out. Again, I got no interest in it. I'm not one of the devs or anything like that. Just one of the ones. One of the projects that I've been doing lately is Drip, DRIP, the drip faucet, and that's on BNB. And it's basically kind of like a deposit account where you earn interest. That's all. I'm not here to sell it. Nothing like that. Some people don't do it, whatever. But I know that people out there that like Hex and earning a yield would be interested in something like Drip, because you earn interest daily and can compound it daily to then build your bag. And I'm not going to get into the details of it. But on PulseChain, this new site is going to be coming out called Snowball -Pulse. And the full address is snowball-pulse.netlify, netlify.app. snowball-pulse.netlify.app. And it's basically a similar project to Drip. But the reason why I like it a lot, and I think they're doing the sacrifice right now as we speak in mid-May right now. So you could go in and get a better rate of the token Flake, is the Flake on the Snowball platform. And you're going to basically, submit your Flake in the protocol, and you earn, more. You earn 1% a day. So if you have 1,000 units of Flake, you're going to earn 1% a day, recompound, and you do this daily. And I think you pay a small tax every time, and that's the way the site functions, is every time you recompound the Flake that you've earned in daily interest, when you recompound it, you pay a 10% site tax on that. And that's the way the site, works. Without getting into any detail, do your own research, read the white paper, blah, blah, blah. And then you build up your stack to the maximum that you could, build it to, which I think is 3.65% or whatever it is on that site. And then you're then every day you earn your 1% interest. You then withdraw it and claim it. I'm not going to get into the details of it, do your own research, but the reason why I'm high on it is because, again, this is going to be on PulseChain, where the fees are nothing, are minimal. They're 1/3 of a penny. So my strategy is going to be, not only am I going to claim compound my interest that I've earned every day to build my stack, I'm going to compound 2 or 3 times a day. If I wake up in the morning and I'll have whatever, let's say $1.50 worth of Flake that I earned in interest from the day before, I'm going to compound it that morning back into the system to keep on earning interest on my growing total. It's going to cost me what, 1/3 of a penny or less in Pulse gas fees to do that. Then maybe later in the day, if you have time, or even just that evening, I'm going to recompound it again. Maybe my interest now is built up, and my claimable interest is built up to whatever it's built up to. Maybe it's $1.25 worth or whatever. That sounds like not a big number, but I could now recompound that again for 1/3 or 1/4 of a penny. And I'm just going to be able to build my bag that much bigger, my balance that much bigger and faster because of the low gas fee on PulseChain. And that's why I think this project's going to do really well. Again, maybe it's a rug pull. I have no idea. I sacked a couple $100. I'm not going to get wiped out if it ends up being a bad thing. But they're having some kind of AMA question thing that pretty soon I think it's early next week. It looks like it's on Monday, my afternoon. Anyway, do your own research, not financial advice to anybody out there. But those are my reasons why, if you're into Drip, or you're just into something where you want to earn 1% a day and enjoy being involved with the site and having something to look forward to a couple times a day or whatever, that's my take on that. Okay.
And I wanted to ask a bit of a hobby question.
Yeah.
Let's say you become a Pulse millionaire. What color Lamborghini are you going to get?
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping that we do well.
Yeah.
I don't want to be talking like moon boy stuff or whatever, because I think people are going to do well. Don't get me wrong, but it might not be for a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, you see all these people out there making these big dream comments and I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to buy this Porsche and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I'm hoping that we all do well, you know, and obviously I'm a little bit older, so I might be one of the guys that cashes out a little bit sooner, and I might miss out on some of the gains that the next guy makes down the road, but we all have different positions where we're at.
And what would be some selling points that you or other people would be looking to cash out at?
How many people out there, first of all, don't have anything? They've got $1,000 in their bank account and they're working paycheck to paycheck, grinding it out. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to not be in that position, but I was in that position when I was younger. And how many of these people ever came into any kind of wealth at all? Not a lot. You either need a parent to pass away, or you need to win a nice lawsuit because you got rear-ended in a car accident. Whatever it is, there's not a lot of ways that you're going to get a big amount of wealth. So you got to say to yourself, what would I be happy with? You're younger than me. Your number might be higher than what I would be happy with. So I'm not going to say 20x, 50x, 100. I don't look at it that way in my mind. In my mind, I look at it that if I bought $5,000 worth of PulseX, no matter what the price is of it, in my mind, I'm in for $5,000, okay, for me or whatever. So if that were to get to, you know, what would make me happy right now before all this stuff goes? Would I be happy at 30 grand? Yeah. Would I be happy at 45, 50 grand? You know, yeah. A lot of people out there would, dude, you're only 10xing right there or whatever. You know, that's nothing. Well, it's nothing to you because you're some 23-year-old guy that's just trying to hit a moonshot, you know, and maybe you will if you hold on. But you got to say to yourself, what would you be happy with? A lot of people don't do that. I play poker. You know, I sit at the table and I buy in for $200. What would I be happy with? A lot of people, it's a million or nothing. What's going to happen first? They're going to get felted and lose it and walk away with nothing because they didn't walk away when they were up $800.
Do you ever have a strategy in mind to sell the predominant and just keep a bag just in case it goes to $1?
Yeah, I would never just sell it all.
Yeah.
So for me, I would probably, if it does go up a lot, and I'm not saying overnight, but let's say it gets to the point where we're getting to these numbers where you're happy. Again, you got to say to yourself, what would make you happy? And all of us have a different answer, but let's have a realistic answer. You can't be some clown where you're only happy at $1 million, you know. Dude, you're in for $1,000, you know, what would you, $1 million? Be realistic. What would you truly be happy with? What would change your life? What would get you to pay your rent 6 months ahead of time in advance? What would get you to be able to eat dinner at a better restaurant every night? You know, what would make you happy? You know, especially if you're only in for $1,000. I think the real answer would be $15,000, $20,000. Wouldn't that would change somebody's life that doesn't have anything? But people are greedy, you know. To answer your question, I probably slowly sell out. So if it gets up to a nice value, I probably sell 25%. And then if it increased again to an amount where I'm like, holy smokes, I'm now at this amount, maybe I sell another 25% of that amount. So I'm always going to have some skin in the game in case it does go to some great, fantastic figures. But I also made profits along the way. And again, I'm a little bit older. I'm happy. I don't, you know, again, I'm asking myself, what would make me happy? What's realistic? What would I truly realistically be happy with by not being overly greedy? I was holding, I don't know, let's just say Cardano. You know, you hold your Cardano, you buy it for whatever, for 80 cents or whatever. And that's not even early, and then it goes up to $3.50 or whatever it got up to. And then you don't sell because you're greedy. You don't sell, and now it's back to freaking, you know, 50 cents or whatever it's at. And you're like, son of a bitch, why didn't I sell it? Why didn't I sell some of it? I don't know.
Non-realized gains is not true gains. You got to realize.
Exactly.
Let's say
I agree.
Let's say Richard Hart, by some freak miracle, ends up watching this stream. Would you have any words to say to him?
No, just keep up the good work. You know, don't do anything or launch anything, whether it's your new wallet or a stable coin or even these projects that are currently going. Don't launch them or open them up to the public until they're ready to go, because you're going to get big time scrutiny if there's a problem with something or it doesn't work out due to your failure. If something happens that wasn't your fault, that's another thing. But make them as best as you can. I understand some of the outrageous, things he does, but he needs to get attention, and I understand that. I'm not a big fan of some of it, but at the end of the day, if he's going to get the attention that he needs to promote these good things, then I don't own some of these fantastic items, so I don't know what it feels like. But if that's what it takes to get the attention of others, then that's what you got to do, and I guess I'm all for it.
So I think the way that Richard Hart does it, and it's very genius, is he realizes that he needs to get people on board this project. So he might buy the most costliest diamond, or he might, have a good Rolex watch. But I think that's all chess pieces along the way to try and gain some clout. To then, it's just another pump of mental strategy, and I think it's quite genius. And if he is watching, obviously, thank you very much for doing what you have done. A lot of people are very appreciative. We admire, the fact that you're looking out for people, and a lot of people their lives are gonna change because of you. Not many people in this world, they say that for every person born into the world to climb mountains, there's another one born to pull you right down. And I think he was one to do the opposite and kind of lift people up. So we'll both go on record saying we think PulseChain is a big plus, and it's going to go up and right, up and right.
I agree. I mean, they come up with these wild sayings because they don't have any kind of other reasonable response, whether it's in a debate or just in chat or in Twitter or whatever. Yeah. But stupid responses like "you're fat" or just those are just that's like a first grader arguing. They don't have real responses. And the bottom line is he hasn't scammed anybody.
Yeah,
nobody. All he's done is make money for people and put out fantastic projects, and that's why we're all behind him and have our interest in him and our trust in him. And at the end of the day, that's what it is he has not hurt anybody.
That's right. One of the concluding remarks, aside from PulseX, is there any other coins out there that you think is worthwhile? For instance, any other coins that you think is good?
I'm pretty much into all these things are going to be PulseChain. So I'm not shy to say that I sacrificed for Mintra. I sacrificed for PowerCity. I sacrificed for liquid loans. So I'm going to basically just be staking my Mintra, earning profits, whatever the profits are going to be on that site. I'm going to be staking my loan token on liquid loans, and maybe even providing liquidity in the pool for people to borrow from. So I'll be earning money that way. I'm going to be on PowerCity. I'm going to be staking my Watt tokens and earning yield that way. Those are the things I'm going to be doing.
Sorry, what I meant is non-Pulse associated tokens. So you mentioned Cardano. Is there any other coins that you've got your eye on, or you think is going to?
I with these prices the way they are, I mean, I can't pass on 40 cents Algorand. I can't pass on cheap Polygon. I don't want to get into those projects. That's not what this that's not what we're here for right now. But I hold Cardano basically because I'm stuck with it now because it's dropped so much. I hold Algo, I hold some Stellar, and I hold Polygon. I think I hold some Tron on Voyager. Those are some of the ones that I hold, but I don't really do a lot with those. I'm more focused on these on this ecosystem.
Okay. And did you have any other things to add before we?
No, just everybody needs to be patient. We're not going to be millionaires overnight, like you're hearing from some of these other people out there. And the most important thing, like I said, is just remember, you got to say to yourself, what would make you happy? Because people are going to be greedy. And I think that you can't have this mindset in your mind. I'm going, for 5 million or nothing. What would make you happy? Don't forget to take some profits along the way, like you said, because that way you got something to show for it. God forbid something terrible happens. Who knows what that terrible thing could be? But just make your expectations reasonable and say to yourself, what would I be truly happy with right now, with the values where they are and the amounts that I put in? What would make me happy?
Yeah, I would add to that by saying, make sure to pay off your debts first. It's underestimated, but a lot of people like flashy things. But these days, the most flashiest thing is to say I'm debt free, and that's probably the biggest flex. The number two thing is after you're done sorting, your family and people out and whatever, try where possible to kind of pass on the Richard Hart effect and try and kind of make a local difference. And not just time, but also, sorry, not just money, but also time, because obviously with a lot of people retiring, you've now got time. Find your niche and see where you're best needed in the community, and just try and be productive.
So yeah, Rick. Bottom line is you want to be able to tell everybody. Every person should tell at least one person, whether it's your softball buddy, whether it's somebody from your office, whether it's just somebody at the bar who you just became friends with. Everybody should tell somebody about Hex. Valuable. Don't let them miss out. Fantastic opportunity for all. We know the value of it. They don't. It's not going to be too difficult to get them involved. They can just throw a couple $100 at it at the least. Bottom line is make sure we all tell somebody. So really, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. I've had a good time. It's been enjoyable. Most importantly, I hope that at least one piece of information of all the stuff we talked about is going to help somebody, maybe save somebody from a horrible decision, or at least benefit somebody. And that's where I get the real value from this.
Thank you very much, MJB, for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to obviously hear your insights into all of this. And definitely, I agree with what you're saying. On this channel, our slogan is, we're all going to make it. Just keep the faith. And it's not good enough that individually we make it. We have to make sure that everyone else benefits as well. And definitely we'll produce more content with yourself in the future. So if the viewers enjoyed this, leave a comment or like, and we'll definitely organize something else in the future. So with that, my friends, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and thanks again, and have a good day.